I'm Sarah Hooker from the University of West Florida, and I'm a grad student studying historical archaeology. I'm here at the grave site of James Maestre, and he unfortunately has a fairly unreadable marker. However, the Lola Lee Brewington survey done in the 1930s provides us with good information about what the marker originally said. So we know from that he was born in Valencia, Spain, and that he died in 1829. And after going through documents, particularly census records, it seemed that James didn't exist in document form. But the 1820 Spanish Pensacola census explains that there was a James and Anna Maestre living in Pensacola at that time. The census also says that Louis was born in Valencia, Spain, like it says that James was, and we also know that nearby is the grave of Anna Maestre, who seems to be the same person as the woman in all the census records. And so from those bits of evidence we can conclude that it is most likely James and Louis are the same person. So going on that information, we know a little bit more about him. We also know that he and Anna had 2 daughters, and that they at one time lived in Louisiana. We also know that Louis Maestre owned quite a bit of land near the bay of Santa Maria de Galve, right around the time of his death in 1829. So while all that information is really interesting and it was difficult to come by, we also know a little bit more about the marker itself. Lola Lee Brewington said that there was originally a skull and crossbones at the top of the marker, which unfortunately is not there anymore. And at that time, it was widely believed that this was a pirate's grave. However, a skull and crossbones doesn't necessarily mean that the person was a pirate. It was actually an early grave symbol that was used particularly in the 18th century, early on especially, in New England. And while James's grave is from 1829, it's not completely surprising that he used that symbol. It took a long time for trends like gravestone iconography to make its way down to Pensacola. It's possible that he and his wife were buried together and that his wife's marker was moved, but we're not absolutely sure. Nearby is the marker for his wife. The most interesting thing that I found was that he didn't exist under the name that Lola Lee Brewington said that he was listed under. It's possible that James was either a middle name or just a name that he went by, but it's also possible, because of the condition of the stone, that it does say Louis, because at that point it was pretty clear that the grave was broken. She mentioned that it was broken and fallen in. So it was interesting just trying to figure out who he was and that he doesn't exist under the name James.